To Wine at Nine, I'm Dr. Nancy Berk. What does it take to be voted the best in the business? Today, I'm talking to a guy who has rocked the world with his voice and taken over Vegas with his unique talent. Stay tuned for another fun conversation with one of my very favorite show business success stories. Welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Nancy Berk, and joining me today is singer, comedian, ventriloquist, and celebrity impressionist Terry Fator. The beloved ventriloquist became a worldwide sensation along with his pal Winston the Impersonating Turtle in 2007 when he won America's Got Talent. Now busy starring in his own show, voted the best in Vegas, Terry Fator and his friends can be found at the Mirage, where he, by the way, has his own theater. Thank you, Terry Fator. I'm so excited to catch up with you again.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful talking to you again.
Well, I loved your show. I got to sneak backstage and see your man cave, my husband and I, when we were in Vegas last year, and we were just blown away. Well, the man cave was very cool, by the way, like tons of puppets and great memorabilia everywhere. But we were blown away by your performance. And what amazes me is just you never seem to sit still. Everything is forever changing in your shows, isn't it?
It is. And, I do that for two reasons. Number one, I want to make sure I keep the show exciting and fresh for my audiences. And number two, I want to keep the show exciting and fresh for myself. I don't ever want to phone a show in, and I don't ever want to get bored. And I think if you do the same show over and over and over for year after year after year, you can tend to kind of get bored. I don't want to be thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner after the show during the show.
Right. Well, that's a very good point, because you can get distracted in your own performance, I suspect, if it becomes incredibly routine.
Yes, absolutely. So I like to keep things exciting and fresh. And, I made a commitment that as long as I was at the Mirage, I was going to add a new character and puppet every single year, just to keep things fresh and exciting. And I've been able to do that. So.
I see that, and which means I'm going to have to go to your show next month when I'm in Vegas. You have a new puppet. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I have a new puppet that I just introduced in March of this year, and it's Sir Elton John. And I made the decision that I was going to start doing more real-life characters, mainly because I'm getting a lot of interest to do overseas and to do internationally. And I thought, well, how can I transcend language barriers? And music is the universal language. No matter where you go in the world, people love American music, and they love, and of course, Elton is British, but they love Western, I should say, music. And so when I pull out Elton John and he starts to sing, people all over the world are going to know the songs, and that's really kind of the reason for that. But he's been a huge hit, smash success in my Las Vegas show.
Wow! So he's basically making a big splash in Vegas in many ways, his own show and his puppet-driven piece.
Yes, he absolutely has. Yes.
Now, has he snuck in to see it? Do you know? You might not know. He could be going undercover.
That's very true. I don't know if he has. I know that when he was, he got sick and had to cancel some shows. And so I sent him a special message, and I had his little puppet alter ego sing a couple of songs and send him a little get well message. So I don't know if he saw it. We never heard anything back, but I sent it to his publicist and his manager. So.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I credit you with really drawing people's attention to ventriloquism, which I always feel like doesn't get enough attention for being such a cool and historical art form. I don't know if that's probably not the right word, long-standing art form. And after you hit the AGT stage and you won America's Got Talent, and that was season 2, later we would see Paul Zerden win in season 10, and now we see Darci Lynne, who has rocked the semifinals, the 12-year-old singing ventriloquist, and she's gearing up for the finals as we speak. Why do you think America has finally woken up to the art form again? I mean, because there were the early days way before you came on the scene when we were small children, and I don't even know if you were born then. But why do you think America's finally taking notice?
I think part of it is that the quality, the bar has been raised, and the quality is better than it ever has been. I think there was a lull, and it's not that there weren't great ventriloquists. There always have been. Even when people were saying, "Oh, ventriloquism is a dying art," and
Right.
it never really has been, because even through that time, there have been phenomenal ventriloquists. The same people who influenced me when I was younger, people like Ron Lucas and people like Jay Johnson, who was on
Correct.
Soap. These people have always been there and just been phenomenal, amazing. That Jay Johnson won a Tony on
Well,
Broadway
exactly.
during the time when people were thinking there was a lull. It's just there was not any television exposure. And I think the reason mine worked so well to bring this international exposure through America's Got Talent is because I really brought something totally unique and different, and I used ventriloquism as a vehicle for something different than others had used it for, which is singing impressions. And it just happened that I had the gift of both of those gifts of being able to do ventriloquism and impressions of singers. So when you come to my show in Vegas, you'll see a fully rounded show that's not just a stand-up comedian using ventriloquism to tell jokes.
Right.
You're going to see, well, as you saw, when you were there last year, it's a very musical show, very comedy centric. It's really kind of a variety show all wrapped up into one. And that's really what Darci is bringing back to this, is something. She's bringing that same quality of a fully rounded with comedy, music, puppeteering, the magic, and the magic is that we're creating inanimate objects. So we're making inanimate objects seem alive, and that's really kind of magic as well. So it's really
Right.
a show that you get to see every type of entertainment you can imagine all wrapped up into one. And I think that's why it's coming back to the forefront.
Well, I agree. And you've made me think because it's true. It's not that ventriloquism had died, it was that it really wasn't getting perhaps the publicity and the exposure it
Hmm.
needed. And you're right. Jay Johnson won an Emmy, which was unheard of in the field of ventriloquism and hard to do no matter what, a Tony rather. Hard to do no matter what if you're not on Broadway in a traditional way. So I think it's really a great
Exactly.
example of how you need to be multidimensional, not just as a ventriloquist, but in whatever we do. People say have a niche. But if you really look at someone like you or someone like Darci or someone like Jay Johnson, there's more than just one skill that's
No, you're
created
right.
that
You're
success
absolutely right.
story.
And I finally saw Jay's show when he released it on DVD, and I'm telling you, it's one of the greatest shows I've ever experienced, I've ever seen. I mean, it's the history of ventriloquism told through masterful storytelling, comedy, and his skills as a ventriloquist are unparalleled. And so, for this, but one of the things that my goals in my life growing up was that I always wanted to get to a point where I was influencing the next generation. And to know that Darci was inspired to become a ventriloquist through watching me, and to see this and there's another young ventriloquist named Landon Harvey
Right. I know
people need to
Landon.
watch for this. Landon, man, this
Yeah.
kid, he actually won. I have a scholarship that I pay to send kids to the ventriloquist convention, and it's really interesting that because I wanted to inspire that next generation, and to see Landon and Darci, these kids, it just makes me feel fantastic to know that I'm going to be able to pass the torch one day,
Right.
to them. They're going to be able to take over where I left off. I mean, I've had a night show in Las Vegas, headlining on the Strip in the evening for now for almost 9 years, and
Wow.
from what I understand, that's really unprecedented. And sooner, someday I'm going to want to retire, and I love that I'm going to be able to pass that mantle and torch to these young, incredibly talented young people. So
Right.
it's fun to be a part of that.
What you're saying really also showcases the whole mindset of the Venthaven ventriloquism convention. And that's how I found out about so many ventriloquists is when I was covering the Venthaven convention 2 years ago. And that's where I first met Darci Lynne. So, and that's where I first met you as well. And I met
Mm.
Landon this year when I went back again because I'm a little addicted. But the one thing that really struck me about this convention is not just the cross generational mentoring that goes on. I mean, young kids were helping me pick out puppets, but also the mentoring and the kindness that everyone shows one another. And it's almost like it transcends age. And that's why I want to give a shout out too to Venthaven Ventriloquism Convention. Go to Venthaven, well, just Google Venthaven Ventriloquism Convention. And for those who
Yeah.
are interested, book your July. It's a wonderful, wonderful event. And along with
Oh yeah, it really is. I mean, even if you're just like a puppeteer, or if you're just into that, it's a beautiful place. And you're absolutely right. There's a genuine sense of camaraderie, and that's really why I go. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to have the time because I'm really at the peak of my career, and I am so busy.
I
I
know.
want so badly to go and spend 3 or 4 days, but I just don't have time. I usually have to blow in and blow out. But the reason I go and I continue to go is because I want to inspire that next generation. I want to teach. It took me 40 years to learn the things that I know, and I want to be able. If I had that, which is exactly why I do the scholarship as well.
Right.
Um, you know, had I had that mentoring when I was young, I would have accelerated my abilities, exponentially. I know it would have been huge, a huge help to me. So I'm hoping to do that and give that gift to people like Darci and Landon and all the other young people that are going to be carrying this mantle later, when the ones who have to take over and show the world how amazing this art form is. I'm just pleased to be a part of that process. I'm so humbled and honored that I can play a small part in that.
Well, I think you're playing a big part in that, but I'm curious, what advice do you have for Darci as she preps for the finals? I mean, you're someone who really does know. I don't think there's anyone who could be closer in her shoes than you.
Yeah, no. My advice to Darcy is relax and have the time of your life. Just have fun, because really, at the end of the day, this is going to be a memory she's going to carry with her for the rest of her life.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I just want her to relax and enjoy herself and remember this. Regardless of whether she wins or loses, she's made an impact. I mean, she's worldwide now. People all over the world are talking about this woman, this young lady, and so I'm telling you, I want her to just enjoy this moment.
Well, yeah, and I think she is. For those of us who know her, you've got to admit she looks like she's having the time of her life. But I have to ask you, since I'm not expecting to witness this firsthand, although most of us would love to, does $1 million change your life?
Oh yes, it totally changes your life. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how it can really genuinely change your life. What it did for me was I was able to completely pay off all my bills. I was able to invest in getting some new characters and puppets. And if somebody like Darcy, who is so young, she's only 12, and I think she's going to be 13 in October. But for her, it's going to be able to. She's going to put this aside. It'll pay for her education completely, and really get her set up. And more than her education, it'll get her set up to do some pretty amazing things, and to have a set up for a nice career. And that's really the goal. Because for me, I had to struggle. I
Right.
couldn't afford to buy nice puppets and things. I had to struggle. And this will just make it easier for her if she does win. And I do hope she does. I'll tell you what, she's going to get all my votes. And I'm also hoping that America's Got Talent will call me and let me do a duet with her. Because I don't
Oh,
know if they will, but wouldn't that be fun to be able to do a duet on the finale? I think America would love that.
that would be so cool. I didn't even think of that. I'm sort of mad at myself for not thinking of that. Well, you know what, Terry? If she can't, guess what? I was at the ventriloquism convention, and they have a raffle, and the big prize is a Matt puppet, a Marianne and Melissa Taylor puppet, and I won it. So
You
now,
did?
yeah, how wild is that? I was so shocked. I couldn't even believe it. I was sitting next to Linda Parrott, and I said to her, "Can you read this? Can you read this ticket again?" And she said, "Oh my." So now I have this puppet,
I
and
love Linda.
is it? I
I
know.
love
Isn't
Linda.
she
She does
great?
some writing for me. She's
I
done some writing. Yes.
I know. Isn't she great? So she just looked at me like, yeah, well, we're going to be writing some jokes, Linda, because the pressure is on for me to learn ventriloquism now. And Darci's coach, Gary Owen, is working with me because I have to prove that a woman over 50 can master this skill. So yeah, if
Oh, I love it. I
I'll do
love
a
it. Well,
duet with
listen,
you one day.
feel free to keep in touch with me because I will absolutely help you and give you some pointers as well. So
Oh, that's
you
great.
bet. I love doing stuff like that. And I've been working with Darci as well and helping her and encouraging her and doing a little coaching with her through her America's Got Talent thing. So I love working with people and helping people, believe me. So I'd love to talk to you and do some work with you as well. So.
Oh, that would be fun. Well, but for those people out there, forget about me, who want to try their hand at ventriloquism, and, I guess the pun is intended. What advice do you have for someone who wants to dive into the craft?
I just there's so much resources out there. There's a course, an online course. The gentleman's name is Tom Crowell, Crowl, and it's learn-ventriloquism.com, I believe is the website. But you can just do a search for Tom Crowell, Learn Ventriloquism, and I'm telling you, you can learn a lot from the internet right now. And so go to the internet, and then the best thing I can tell you is practice, 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 practice.
You are right about that, but can you tell us? You have a great story about how you kind of fell into this, or how you taught yourself ventriloquism.
Yes, yeah. For me, I didn't have any coaches. I didn't have anything. All I had was me trying to figure this out. So it was tough. It was really, really tough. So it took me decades to learn how to do what I could have learned in a matter of months. Just like Darci, I look at Darci and I think, my goodness, if I had had somebody like Gary Owen or myself teaching me when I was that age, I can't even imagine what I would do,
Interesting.
what I would have done, and how much quicker I could have really accomplished what I've accomplished. So, and that's really one of the reasons why I love to give back so much to the art and to do this, because I want to help people not have to figure it out themselves. And so I want to be able to accelerate this training, because there's a lot of talented people out there, especially a lot of talented young people. And I want them to discover this. I want them to get inspired by seeing me and seeing Darci and seeing others, and just go back and become the next great. There's a lot of great talent waiting to be discovered, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
Well, you are. And just even beyond ventriloquism, you're such a powerful philanthropist and good soul. What can we expect next for Terry Fator? I mean, there can't be much time between keeping this show rolling and your tour dates.
Yes, and I'm actually talking about working with some people to do another special on television, and also to get my own television show. So we're in talks to do all that. So very exciting times.
Oh, that's great. I am so excited that you found time to catch up with us. I want to make sure people know how to find you and me. Go to Twitter and follow at Terry Fator. I'm at Nancy Berk, and we're at Wine at Nine, and go to terryfator.com for all things Terry Fator, and follow him as well on Facebook. We are Wine at Nine on Facebook, or Dr. Nancy Berk, and go to venthavenconvention.com for more information on the International Ventriloquism Convention, and check out the Vent Haven Museum while you're at it. Terry Fator, I hope I get to see you soon.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope I get to see you as well. And when we do, we'll work on your ventriloquism skills. How about that?
Okay, but I'm going to have to get an extra seat for that puppet. It's a big one. Maybe I could just use the turtle, your turtle.
Maybe so.
Until next time, this is Dr. Nancy Berk. Bye-bye.